What's happening, everybody? Happy Thursday to you. It's Thursday. Yes, it is. All right, trying a new platform here. Shout out to my friends at Riverside.fm. It's not new, it's new to me, reintroduced to me. Their marketing team reached out, said, "Hey, we see what you're up to. You're clearly a podcaster who works with podcasters. We're looking to establish some brand partnerships. So why don't you check out our platform?" I go, "Well, I've ruined a couple interviews in the past, so I'm a little jaded." And they said, it's all new. All new features, all the above. So that being said, I said, well, I'll try anything again, I guess. If it's new and improved. I hear a lot of the industry, podcast industry talking about uh, Riverside. So been fooling around with it a little bit here to find out exactly what it's all about. So far, so good. They have a live streaming capability. So that allowed me to replace another subscription and software that I was utilizing, which was um, Ecamm Live. Great software, but it's not web based. This is web based. So I'll drop a link below here for you to check it out. I think they have a free trial as well. But that's what we're doing over here. So I'm on my way out of town for the long weekend, headed out west to Salt Lake City. That's right. And the reason I'm going to Salt Lake City is because my best friend and brother, Owen Video, I blame him for going live right now because he used to do these high fives that I couldn't stand. And I just did them. I literally just did the same thing. But I'm going to go rent an RV for the first time and head out to the river with his family, of which I are my family, and I love those humans. So looking forward to it. Never rented an RV before, so I may or may not document this process. Half of me is like, I'm off the grid. I'm in nature. We're not doing devices all day, and the other part of me is like, let's make sure we document this process because it's going to be quite the adventure. 3 days in the woods with an RV I've never been in. I've been getting all kinds of tips, tricks, and tools for RVs, mainly regarding the plumbing. Gotcha, loud and clear on that. Uh, so yeah, I'm excited. So I thought before we head out west, do a little camping. Let's get a podcast episode recorded here. Those of you watching the recording of this podcast episode live, we record this episode live most of the time on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube because there's always a lesson for people that are existing podcasters, new podcasters, prospective podcasters, for you to learn exactly what you didn't know that you didn't know about starting, growing, monetizing a podcast. Now, if you're listening to the actual episode, the actual podcast episode, I'm all up in your earbuds. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed to the show. That way you'll get updates when new episodes become available. Follow me on Instagram, show ideas, questions about this episode, any episodes on the show. Shoot me a DM at Podcast Suck. That's podcast plural. Podcast Suck on Instagram. So let me know you're a listener of the show. And any questions that you have, I am here to help. So today, what I'd like to talk to you about is how starting a podcast helps silence that inner critic. You know the one. You're going to sound like crap, look like crap. Remember that time you forgot your lines in the school play and everybody laughed at you? Remember that time so and so told you you couldn't do something? Blah, blah, blah. That inner critic is almost on autopilot. So we need to silence it as much as possible and get it in check. Sebastian, I mean, how could starting a podcast silence my inner critic? It's the loudest voice in my life. Oh, I'm aware. I've got one too, but I try to keep it in check as much as possible. Now, here's what I found. When you have a podcast, you become a better communicator, a better interviewer, a better networker. Once these benefits start to show up for you, you start to forget about all the stuff that doesn't matter, like the inner critic, like the voice in your head, like the whatever you want to call it. Why? Because there's more payoff with new business, new relationships, the better communication skills, better social media content, all because of the podcast. But also, you're getting more reps in. You're getting more reps in every single time you record a new podcast episode of becoming a better podcaster. I'm working with a client right now, and they have struggled a majority of their life with the way that their voice sounds. This is very, very, very common with almost 80% of the clients I work with. But just like the little sign that hangs by my desk here in the studio says, you can't read the label of the jar you're in. That means what you think about you is not what I see about you. One more time. What you think about you is not what I see or hear about you. I think I told the story on the last episode. It's worth mentioning again. Andy Warhol was once quoted saying, and I'm paraphrasing here, don't worry about what the beholder has to say about what you're creating, about the art you're creating. Just keep creating, because eventually it becomes habitual. Eventually you get into a place where you're more comfortable in your own skin. When we become more comfortable in our own skin, the inner critic tends to get quieter. And eventually, it may linger every now and then, pop back up. But like a muscle, once you've put the reps in and you've been able to build the muscle, it's clear and obvious there's a muscle there. Same thing applies here. So when we talk about starting a podcast to radically change your life and your business, this is the life part. I get asked that a lot. I'm just me, little old me. How could a podcast change my life? I said, well, where do I begin? A better communicator, silencing the inner critic, a better networker, a better interviewer, a better listener. That's top of the list when it comes to mastering the craft of interviewing. Knowing how to ask the right questions, and shut up. And then after you ask those questions and shut up, intently listening. That means listening with extreme intention of understanding. You see, we live in a world right now where we're listening to figure out what we want to say next. How inauthentic is that? When you're interviewing somebody, it is grossly disrespectful to simply ask them a question and have them, okay, give me your answer. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, versus intently listening to them. Because guess what? Maybe, just maybe, you're going to learn something from them. Another beautiful benefit of podcasting and interviewing and connecting with new people is the stories that they tell impacting our lives. Wow, who would have even thought? I was on a podcast earlier this morning, and I told my story, and the host said, you know, Sebastian, I got chills just now because our stories are so similar. And then we got into talking about the inner critic and hosting a podcast. And he said, you know, I struggled with this for months. For years, I had the idea. I sat on it. Last year, finally took action and launched the podcast. But I've never been a good communicator. That's why I did it. I've never been a good public speaker. That's why I run meetings and give talks to our company. I've never been good at any of those things. So I started doing them. That's worth repeating. I was never good at those things. So I started doing them. I'm in full-blown vacation mode right now, but I just got back from Whole Foods. They got the best slice of pizza, by the way. Their hot bar, that pizza slaps. And I got back here and I'm like, well, I've got a good 2.5 hours before I have to leave for the airport. I could do a couple things. I could watch TV. Technically, vacation has begun. I could take my time getting dressed and making sure I've got all my stuff packed that I want, need, or I could record a podcast episode because I got something. I got something for the people. So I said to myself, inner critic alert. Cool, man. What have you got for them? And I immediately told my inner critic, I don't know. But once the camera's on, the lights are on, the studio's fired up, we're ready to go. Been wanting to test out the live feature on Riverside.fm. Here we are. Once all that's going, I'm going to figure it out. And I had some notes that I wrote down at my networking meeting last week. And none of them resonated with me. But I keep coming back to the inner critic because I experience that the most with the coaching that I get to do. I don't have to do anything. I get to do this. And with that coaching, the inner critic is just on overdrive. And I'm a very no nonsense, matter of fact type of coach, but I also treat you like a friend. I also treat you, I give you a hug with a slap in the back of the head. But most importantly, in an effort to stay in integrity at all times, I tell you the truth. But before I do that, I ask permission. I've got some feedback for you. Are you open to it? Well, yeah, of course. That's why I hired you. Great. Every single thing that you're telling me right now about yourself or that you think about yourself is bullshit. How's that land? Yeah. Wow. Everything I've been telling myself, letting my inner critic on overdrive, is all just a crock. Yeah. So if you're watching this right now, as we live stream, or you are listening to this on the podcast, first of all, thank you. You could be doing a bazillion other things right now, but you decided to consume this. I hope this lands for you. There's something here for you right now in this very moment. Come on in. By the way, right now is your life. Right now. There's no mistakes, no quinky dinks. There's something here for you. Because the vast majority of people that I talk to are paralyzed from taking action because of the inner critic, because someone told them something, because of a story that they've made up that isn't even true, that they've chosen to live their life according to. And I'm here to tell you today that that story is bullshit. And that you can, in fact, do anything that you want to do. You legitimately want to do it, but something has been holding you back from doing it. Chances are it's the inner critic. It's the voice in your head. It's a story you've made up. So why not today, Thursday, May 22nd, 2025? Why not we just clear the slate and say, I'm done with the bullshit that I've been telling myself. And what I'm going to start doing today is believing in myself just a little bit more. You believe in yourself 1% more every day. That's 365% a year. What does that look like? My coach said something to me, the great Dan Martell. Shout out to Dan Martell. If you haven't read his book, Buy Back Your Time, you're missing out. Follow him too. Consume his content and then implement it into your life. He's incredible. But he said if you could, you couldn't even imagine meeting you at your highest potential. If you met your future self at your highest potential, it would absolutely blow your mind. I think it was Tony Robbins says that we underestimate what we can do in a day and overestimate what we can do in a year. I might have got that backwards, but it's so true. Sometimes we think so small. I'm trying to change all that. I want to rip the freaking dog out of you because when I'm able to, because I've had people do it to me and continue to do it to me. Dan is a great example. Dan is my constant hug with a slap in the back of the head. And I got a couple Dans in my life. Wildly successful, filthy rich, and they tell me the truth. How many of those do you have in your life? It's not about the money. The money gives them leverage to be even more powerful with what they do and how they show up. So I'm going on a little bit of a rant on this episode, but the inner critic needs a rant because it runs the show if you let it. It's like our subconscious. We don't have much control over it, but we can tell it who's boss, and we can remain conscious. The conscious part of our brain can say, this is what I'm going to do, knowing my subconscious probably is going on overdrive. So I hope that you get something from this today. There's something here for you today about your inner critic, about you starting your thing, about someone missing out because you're not showing up, because you're not starting your thing, because the inner critic and the story runs the show. You have the opportunity to make a decision today to silence the inner critic. I use podcasting as an example because it's a phenomenal example of how to leverage content, leverage a platform, turn your business into a media company, meet new people, increase sales, become a better networker, become a better communicator, get your social media content game in check because of the podcast. I could go on and on and on. These aren't things that I just made up or that Chat GPT spit out to me. These are things that I've lived and I live and I will continue to live, and I get to see other people live out too. That, my friends, is called living in your purpose on purpose. Okay. When I was a kid in church, Sunday school, we'd sing a song called This Little Light of Mine. I'm going to let it shine. Guess what, friends? This light is still shining bright. And I believe it can get brighter. I still feel like I'm just getting started. There are lives to be impacted and changed through our gifts and our talents. I am living proof. I see life change on a daily basis just because of a vehicle called podcasting. So much more to it. But this episode specifically is about silencing the inner critic. Shh, it's not even true. Yes, you can. You can do whatever you want. Blinders on, not listening to the outside noise. I'm connecting my head with my heart, and I'm taking massive action. Imperfect action often solves a majority of life's problems. I could have done a bunch of things this afternoon, started vacation early, cracked open an ice cold beer. Happy Thursday. We're going to Utah, baby. But I thought, you know what? I got something for the people, and I don't know what I got. When we fire up the studio, I'm going to figure something out. I said, what's really been relevant lately? That inner critic's been relevant because I've been dealing with it all week on coaching calls. And we absolutely abolish the inner critic. And I get you believing in yourself more than you could ever imagine. It's just a gift that I have. And it's not a bunch of pomp and circumstance and blowing smoke up your skirt. It's telling you the truth with love and conviction. If you got something from this episode, shoot me a DM. Let me know. Questions, thoughts, ideas, concerns about this episode, any episodes on the podcast, shoot me a DM at Podcast Suck over on Instagram. I'm here to help. I'm here to serve. I'm here to help you become the best version of yourself. I'm out to Utah for the weekend. Wish me luck. Until next time, friends.